Blossom's running for class president. And no, I really couldn't come up with a better opening to this episode than that. Yeah, the name kind of tells you what's going to be going on. It's called Presidential Punchout. That tells you that politics are going to be involved. I wonder how many jokes about Donald Trump I get to make in this episode. I'm also wondering how many of those jokes are going to be taken seriously by Trump supporters as an attack against Trump. I'm guessing all of them, especially this one. Anyway, the violence starts out pretty quickly as Buttercup threatens to rip out a kid's sinuses if he doesn't vote for Blossom. And that's not me making Buttercup's dialogue sound more violent for comedic effect. That's literally what she says. How would that even work? Not like we're ever going to get to see that anyway. Blossom and her opponent, Barack Obama, want to have a fair and clean election. Which means neither one of them knows how politics actually work. That's all I got. That's all I need, really. Turns out there's a third candidate in the race whose tactic is bad editing and fart jokes. Piss poor editing to make Blossom sound like she's against the thing that she said that she was for. And fart jokes. Okay, can I just point out that tactic wouldn't really work in an actual election? I mean, I guess some people are going to argue that Trump did that, but here's the thing. It wasn't the fact that Trump talked down to other people. It wasn't really the fact that he was bashing people. No, what he did was he made his statements. It wasn't him like re-editing what they said. No, it was him making his own statements and putting himself more in the news. Elections are literally popularity contests. That is why Trump won. Speaking of Trump, the third candidate is actually Princess Morbucks. And I think you all know what the parallel is here. Money. The parallel is money. She gives people cupcakes, which Blossom calls bribery. No, it's not. She did not exchange those cupcakes for votes. I mean, later she offers ice cream and we have a sign that says ice cream in exchange for votes. Yeah, that is bribery. This is just giving people something to make them more inclined to like you. It's the equivalent of shaking hands and kissing babies. I mean, and, you know, people would say that me talking about this lack of realism is a bad thing, but it kind of is. But at the same time, you know, part of it is also sort of painting the Blossom doesn't 100% know what she's talking about either. Which could be sort of a challenging thing. It's probably not. But it could be sort of a challenging thing about the fact that political morality is more of a gray area. And yeah, people give out like free food in like clean campaigns that aren't trying to do things. Blossom giving people sweets. I know there were rubies in the sweets, but again, she didn't say you don't get these if you don't vote for me. But Blossom calling that bribery? Well, that just kind of makes her look like a political dinosaur. Anyway, I have a joke for when Blossom's talking about how morally righteous she is.
I'm the voice of the protractors!
I am the best on this microphone in that ring.
Hey, little known fact, did you know that Donald Trump was in WWE? I doubt that's going to come up anywhere else in this episode. I mean, after all, politics and wrestling, other than that, really don't have a whole lot in common. And I'm sure that the whole wrestling thing wasn't really advertiser friendly enough for them. Have I gotten enough pot shots in at particular groups or particular, you know, things that have happened recently? I could probably get a pot shot in on Doodle Tones and see how many people take that as a serious insult. Anyway, Blossom decides to ask Morbucks to do things the right way. Well, this episode's reviewing itself now. I'm gonna go make a sandwich. Blossom winds up deciding to run a smear campaign of her own, and I'm sorry, but is that how big Manser's posters are? Good lord, no wonder you were already losing at the beginning of the episode. I mean, yeah, Blossom upsized her posters when she started going up against Morbucks, but her posters were already big enough to be able to see things to get the message across at a distance at the beginning of the episode. Like I said, Blossom runs a smear campaign of her own, and it's got worse editing than Morbucks. But at the very least, Blossom's is closer to reality since she's at least lying about the issues instead of saying that her opponent is the queen. The bat thing is kind of just a staging device and a running gag. It's not really all that funny, but they use it as a staging device. It serves its purpose. After we learn that Bubbles and Buttercup aren't in this class for some reason, we settle the mudslinging with a debate, which is precisely the forum where we focus much more on the issues in the campaigns like this. And we hear a lot more hard-hitting stuff about how all the candidates plan to address Alright. Smart mode activate! I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't have any special effects on this show. Okay, I'm not sure who the color commentator is supposed to be a parody of, but she's clearly a parody. I mean, with the accent and the hat, I would say she's trying to be Jim Ross, but Jim Ross doesn't really do color commentary. And I would say she's being JBL, but, you know, there's something missing from that.
Oh yeah! Woo!
There we go. Alright, it's time for the entrances. Of course, Morbucks has an actual WrestleMania entrance, specifically Triple H's.
Time to play the game!
That turns into Shane McMahon's WrestleMania 32 entrance. By the way, did you know that Donald Trump used that entrance music when he was in WWE? Yeah, Shane McMahon used it first, and Shane McMahon has used it since, but yeah, Donald Trump's time involved in WWE was actually during a time when Shane was off doing other business ventures. So this can really only mean one thing. It is only natural that, obviously, next year's WrestleMania, we're going to see Donald Trump versus Shane McMahon in Hell in a Cell for the presidency of the United States of America. I'm trying to say this with a straight face. Oh, they gave Matt Manser R-Truth's old entrance music. That's neat. The debate breaks out into a brawl faster than a WWE contract signing. And Blossom makes a Street Fighter reference for some reason. Okay, let's just ignore the fact that you did a Shoryuken and named it as though it were a Hadoken. Yeah. Kenny Omega would like to talk to you. Gimmick infringement. Morbucks sells worse than John Cena and then squad fight! Ha! Get it? Tiger Mask! I'm starting to think we're not going to talk about textbook budget allocation.
Do you smell what the Powerpuff Girls are cooking?
Oh my god! Blossom! Pick a gimmick! Bubbles plays the role of the Big Show by not knowing whether she's face or heel for a moment, which is there to pad time and nothing else. Oh, except give me more joke fodder, of course.
Looks like she's turned into some kind of political dinosaur!
No. You know, that's not even what a political dinosaur is. Anyway, Barack points out that politics should be about working together rather than fighting each other. Which is funny because he's saying this in the middle of a wrestling match. And Blossom realizes she done goofed and dropped out. And yeah, being in office should be about working together, but the point of an election is to get to the point where you can work with other people. I mean, I understand the moral that this episode is going for. It's a very good moral, but you know, you're in a wrestling match. You're kind of already doing both. Matt wins, bats take over the school, production cuts off Punk's mic. So this episode was okay. I mean, the animation during the match that they presented was not that great, although they did show the impact a little bit more than they usually do. I can give props for that. And the plot was a little bit predictable. See plenty of plots like this where you have two people going after each other for an election, then the third guy ends up making the best point and wins. Stuff like that. I think they did enough things that were, you know, things that you couldn't really do in another show with this to really make it work. And, you know, there were some jokes that, whether intentional or not, definitely seem like they can be applied specifically to the 2016 presidential election. And I think because of the fact that they didn't make those references too specific, I think this will age pretty well, even with it being pretty specific to this year. And, you know, I think part of it is that I'm able to so easily create my own humor out of it, although that admittedly may partially be because of my familiarity with part of the subject matter. And the fact that, you know, the most recent election kind of had some things to make fun of going on. And then again, there's almost always things to make fun of in politics, but regardless, it's not really good. It's not really bad. I guess the only real question is, why the fuck did you call it Presidential Punchout when it's a freaking wrestling match?